We'll be crying about the flood, I'm telling you, baby.
For real.
See that short bones and drive your young mind crazy.
Keep chasing that same old devil down the same old dead highway.
Welcome to The Feed, hosted by Allegiant Calls. Remember, it's all about the sound. This episode brought to you by Dakota Decoys, Migra Ammunition, Bush Rat, and Gator Waders. Confidence in every step.
Pepper, kill it, Pepper. Good job. That's how you call it, man. Woo!
All right, and welcome to The Feed, guys, brought to you by Allegiant Calls, where it's all about the sound. Before we get started, we're going to give you a rundown of the people that help make this come to life. First off, Allegiant Calls, guys, check us out. Got a call for everybody. If you're hunting ducks, we've got something for you. Guys, Gator Waders, man, make good waders, good shoes, good clothes.
New products coming out. Be sure to check it out. Keep eye out what they got coming.
That's right.
Best bang for your buck right there.
Right. Guys, Migra Ammunition, you can call in all the ducks you want to. If you don't have anything to kill them with, doesn't matter.
Nope. And I highly suggest the 20 gauge 2-4 stack.
That's right. Guys, shoot the Migra, guys. It's good stuff at a good price. Check out Foul Play Taxidermy. Guys, Zach will take care of you. Zach Mouse, the prettiest duck you've ever seen. Man,
just a good guy who hunts ducks. You tell him what you're looking for, and I'm pretty confident he's going to be able to master that. Good. He's just an overall good guy, works with his customers, and does great work.
That is correct, man. It's cool to have a guy that does it that's all he does is ducks. He does nothing else.
You always introduce Dakota Decoys, but I got to talk about them.
Talk about Dakota.
So we always talk about, the packables, but when we started off, it was the Extreme Mallard.
That's right.
And don't want to lose sight of that. Probably the most realistic decoys I've had an opportunity to use. Just reliable, rugged. I mean, we hang them off the back of our bush rack off the Can-Am.
That's
and
right.
I'm telling you, all we do is spray them off at the end of the hunt and they're ready to go. And also the spec decoys, the full bodies.
Spec decoys, they're killers.
Yes, we use those all the time. And Bill, just being a good guy, I mean, you just can't go wrong with Dakota decoys.
That's right. And last but not least, he mentioned to it, Bush Rat, guys. Whether you're working, whether you're hunting, check out Bush Rat. They've got something for your Ranger, for your Can-Am. Man, they'll hook you up.
I didn't think I'd like the saw attachment.
Yep.
But I'm telling you.
I just don't like having to run a chainsaw, but, So, there's our sponsors, guys. I know it's a duck hunting podcast, turkey hunting, but springtime's over. Some kind of summertime's here. Everybody's on the water. We got a little different guest with us this morning.
We do. I'm excited about it.
So, Wesley, go ahead and tell us who we got.
Well, I'm the Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Hometowns here locally in Clanton. I grew up fishing the whole river system. Lived here my whole life, and it's my absolute favorite place in the world to fish, even though I get to travel all over the country. There's nothing more than when I get done, I get eliminated or however it shakes out. I look forward to coming home every time because this is where I learned everything I know about fishing. So super glad to be from here. The people are great. The support's great here. I have an awesome support system. Even people that stretch out that I may not know as well as others. It's super awesome having that connection. It's a tight-knit community here that loves fishing, and that's what it's all about.
Man, that's right. So from Clanton, let's start with that. I remember before I got married, had kids and all that good stuff, I actually got to fish more than like one day every 2 weeks. And man, I always remember you fishing with your dad. That was, Y'all had a Ranger, right?
Man, we went through several boats. We started with a Ranger aluminum, and that is correct. I started fishing with my dad.
Yeah.
He took up, it was a very, I have to give him credit where it's due because he completely gave up everything he had going to provide me with the opportunity and provide me with the equipment I needed to be able to do what I want to do. He took a chance, and thankfully, good Lord willing, it worked out, and we're able to fish for a living now because there was a chance that it could have not ever worked out. He risked everything that he had. There was a lot of tough times there that didn't always look that way. That now that we're, on our own, and I cannot appreciate him enough for doing that. But those were the good old days, man. I love fishing with my dad. There's nothing more fun than that I like to do. Now he's on the, he's really big into the hunting stuff now, so it's tough to get him out on the water. But occasionally I can chase him around and get him down and come out here and go. But he doesn't like the pace that I move at. So I'm a little quick on the troller for him, a little much on picking it up. He's more of a go down the bank and flip his jig. And, I'm all about just catching fish. It don't matter what it is. So we're going to run around and do everything we can to catch them.
Yeah, man, I can remember I was fishing with my dad then, and the dam was the place to be if you're on Mitchell. That was where I was getting one. That was where Connell was taking my money. So I was like, I got to figure out how to learn this. And man, your dad always seemed to be kind of like mine. He was just happy to be there, but the dam was not where he wanted to be. You could just tell the look on his face of, I hate it up here, but this is where this boy wants to be.
Yeah, no, he definitely despises that. I finally got him once I got pretty good up there and understood how it worked and where to get bites and stuff. He got to where, we call them catching trips. He likes to go if they're really biting up there. We throw out there and he reels one in. But if it's grimy and you got to work for him, which is what it is most of the time now, he's not in on that. He'd rather just go flip grass or swim a jig. And if he's doing that, he don't have to get a bite. He's just happy doing it. But any of that other stuff, we better be really catching them.
That's right. So you were younger then. Let's go through. So the whole word now is the rookies, the young guys. Man, let's go through how many years you've gotten, kind of the steps you went from being 12 just in your dad's boat to the time you put in at the different levels. Because I don't think a lot of people understand. Man, it's like travel ball. It's like baseball now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's more. There's a foundation now for fishermen that start way before than what it used to be. I feel like, the younger guys, they have a ton of experience, and it's at different things that you may not. The guys that are, a little bit older that have grew up in it. I mean, they possibly didn't start their, more high level fishing careers till they were a little bit older in life. I mean, there's a point now that if you're willing to take the risk, you can start fishing at a pretty high level in high school. Mm-hmm. And everything we always done revolved around it. Like I said, he done away with everything to provide me with opportunity. And man, we fished every weekend, whether he was with me or not. He would make sure there was a way for me to get to the lake. And the thing about getting to the lake is time on the water teaches you more than anything. You got to learn how to be very versatile. I think the younger guys, that's the thing that we're fortunate to have learned is, we grew up in a period of, for me, I feel like I'm probably the last. My rookie class was the last group of people that got to actually fish without the technology, completely. Our first boat didn't have the equipment that they come with now. I remember our first boat had 2 units. It had a 7-inch unit at the dash, and I think it was like an Exile 1 Lowrance at the front that literally done nothing. It might as well have not been there. And, I got to fish with that for a period of time. Then we advanced and, obviously we kept up with the technology because he was going to provide me with the equipment that I needed to excel, and there's just so much of it now. So I understand. I got to fish different ways, learn how to fish different techniques and do different things. And I just got really, really confident at doing everything that you can do to catch a fish. It doesn't matter if it's 6 inches deep or 60 foot deep. I've got a lot of experience under my belt due to time on the water. And I think the same thing goes for a lot of these guys that, depending on where you live, you're limited to certain things, but there's a few select places in the United States that you can live and have the opportunity to, be able to do everything that's available. If you live down way south, you don't necessarily have that opportunity. Versus if you live way up north, you're more limited to a specific type of fishing. But luckily, this southeastern region, not too far south, there's so much opportunity with lakes and different ways to fish. You can learn to do everything. We're absolutely blessed to have the river that we have and be so close to the TVA because there's not a thing that you can buy in a tackle store that you cannot win a tournament on at some point where we live. And I think that's the biggest thing growing up that I learned is you never know exactly what you're going to be doing when you go to the lake. It could be, you could be deep cranking, schooled up just like they are right now. I'm actually on the lake right now. That's how we caught them today, was like a big crankbait and a swim bait off the groups that you scan for. There's times you could scope them. They're on bait. catch them on frog. You're gonna catch them after dark. I mean, it's unlimited. You cannot think of a way that you cannot catch a bass, and there's not many places in the world that you can do that.
I mean, so you talk about where we live and the stuff we have, and you look at too the competition that when you were 18, 19, 17, fishing ABT or man, a Tuesday nighter on Mitchell. Like
Right.
it would be tough other than maybe I don't know it like you do, but maybe other than North Alabama, like man, you fish to get some of the toughest guys in the country on Tuesday on a 3 hour Tuesday evening tournament.
Oh, absolutely. I've always said that where we live, we're lucky to have the competition level we have, and the guys are so much more advanced, and it all goes back to the same thing that I've said, that the opportunity here and being able to do so many different things, people understand fish so well. There's so many factors that go into this place, the whole river system, the amount of current, the water color. You got two different species of fish that act totally different. It changes the way that you think, the way that you process stuff, and all those guys are good, and they've all learned little, small, subtle things that make them really good. That's what, you got, the middle class or older, I don't want to say middle class, the middle-aged people that are, they've excelled at the mid-depth, the shallow stuff, and you got the younger guys that have excelled out deep. Even the small tournaments draw such good fishermen that you always have to be on your A game to compete with them.
Yeah, it's yeah, even like on Saturday, if you're up shallow, you feel like they're beating you behind you, or if you're out in the middle, you feel like somebody's beating you in the grass, and I
Right?
feel like that's not everywhere. I don't feel
No,
like everybody deals with that. So,
no,
but you
no, there's
in Texas because everybody pegs you as a scoper, And I said I wasn't gonna mention FFS, but here we are. But
hell,
but man, then I watch you boat flip an 8 pounder on a swim jig, and it's like
right.
that's not a guy that can just scope if he's boat flipping 8 pounders on swim jigs.
No, I agree. I fall under that, I guess, title a lot, and I love to fish shallow more than anything in this world. That's what I love to do. I understand it, and there's just not many opportunities that we get where we're able to actually do that and be able to compete. But Lake Fork is an exception. There's a few more exceptions where we go that you can actually make sense of what's going on. You can run around and have multiple things going on. And shallow, I always look for it. It's not always available to be able to compete, especially with those guys, because the elite field, I mean, it's unbelievable how good they are, and everybody finds the same stuff. But with how things have changed, you can actually get away with and find something a little different if you can manage to find some shallow fish, because it's just so overlooked because everybody's used to forward-facing sonar dominating at that level.
Yeah, man. And last year in Texas, y'all started in Texas. Didn't you have some good swim jig fish last year that helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. Fork, I always managed to get me a couple on a swim jig. I did more this year than last year. I think I weighed 3 of my 20 bass that I weighed in on Lake Fork the first year was swim jig fish, but this year I think I weighed in over half of them and they were shallow fish.
Yeah.
I think what impresses me the most, especially with guys like yourself, when they go to a new lake, how they read it. You were just talking about, being able to, fish shallow, fish deep. You kind of fall under both those categories. But going to a totally different lake, being able to read it, and what exactly are you looking for when you go to a new lake and you're talking about, hey, you're checking fish that are shallow? What are you looking for to know that you could get those quality bites to win a tournament? What tips you off on that?
I'll make this super simple and short for you. I know that sounds crazy, but the way that I break down lakes is I've actually done some stuff about this before, and I guess people just don't believe me, but literally when I go to a place I've never been, it's exactly how I approach it. And I look at a map before I ever get there, and I look for a creek or the river that has the most excessive, access to flats, or it has the most expansive flats. So those flats, it don't matter if they're 8-foot flats, 3-foot flats, 10-foot flats, 15-foot flats. It does not matter. You want those expansive flats where they're very vast, okay? Well, vastness is difficult to break down, but at the same time, you're around a population of fish. So those fish that can literally go through every stage of their life and never leave that zone. Obviously, there's higher percentage places that within the flat, you're going to look for hard places. You're going to look for channels that intersect the flat, that go through the flat. That's going to be your highways the fish travel on to make these changes as they move around. But those flats hold such a better population of fish, or just more fish in general, that it's unbelievable versus a really deep, steep creek that doesn't have a lot of access to that. So a fish has to have that availability to be able to spawn. Yeah, sure, they spawn in, deeper cut creeks, but the creeks that have flats, uh, they're always going to have a better population of fish, I guess. And then even the river, so the river section of a lake, it will always have more fish where there's flats. So I always start with that. I usually don't even look at the steeper stuff. I just break down every section and every depth range in that flat zone, whether it be, visible, I'm fishing grass that I can see, or I'm fishing submergent stuff. I'm looking for hard bottom, hard spots. It doesn't matter. That is how I break down the lake. If you look at everywhere I've ever been, especially when I do well, I'm always in a creek that usually has a defined ditch that's extremely flat outside of that ditch.
That's it. So I mean, our ducks are the same. Like we're looking for ducks where they can roost somewhere and go eat
Correct.
in a very small area. Like
Right.
the shorter they can move and have everything they need, the happier they seem to be. So fish are the same, basically, is for lack of a better term.
100%. They're not, once that you get into the summertime, those fish aren't going to move. They're going to get somewhere and become stationary. Obviously, there's limited movement, but they don't want to move. They want to be somewhere that they can lock down for the wintertime, and they can, sit there till it's time for them to start migrating again, feeding up for the winter, and then preparing to spawn. I mean, they want to live their whole life in one place that they're familiar with, and those flats have the availability to do that. Perfect example, if you think back to like Lake Eufaula, everything's always dominated for the most part on that southern portion around Patala.
Mhm.
All right, so that's the left-hand side. That's the Georgia side of the lake. The reason that is, if you go look at a map, that's where all the flats are. It's just some absolutely giant 8-foot flat. That's the reason you can always go there. It doesn't matter how much pressure it is. There's always the biggest population of fish that live there. And it's the same way even on some of the lakes that we live on. They can hold up to that pressure because there's fish that never get caught, even though you feel like it. There can be 50 boats somewhere. They have so much stuff to get on and move around on and set on that not all of it can get fished in one day.
Yeah, I mean, a lake that you're pretty close to now, there's a creek on the southern end of it that I feel like every tournament is either won in or placed in.
Absolutely. We just came out of that creek, and it has availability to flats.
Yeah.
This lake is actually very deep. For the most part, it doesn't have a whole lot of flats if you look at a map, but there is that is the one creek that actually has true flats within the creek. And what do you? And that's why I don't like to put like a depth range on it. But I just look for those expansive contours. Anywhere that you're shading on your graph extends out, and you got those real wide spaces between your contours. That is a flat. It's extending out, and those just seem to have a lot better population of fish on them.
So you just said you're breaking down New Lake. You look at the map. That's A1. That's the first place you go. Why does that not get credit for changing fishing when you look at the sea maps and stuff that Lawrence uses or the Humminbird maps? Why does that not get the credit for changing fishing as much as everything else? Because it was probably changed it more than anything.
Oh, it doesn't, because I guess it's because you still have to. I guess the thing about mapping is it obviously is a dead giveaway. Lake Master is what I have, and it's the absolute best mapping, period. The end. There's no secrets no more. It is super difficult to find something off the wall because everything's mapped so well. And it does not get the credit because all forward-facing sonar is a piece of technology that allows you in real time to see your bait and see the fish. All right, well, the thing is you could fish for majority of those fish, especially if they're bottom related, without it. But the thing is that what forward-facing sonar has done is it allows you to catch the fish that are up in the water column, that are actually traveling that highway. They're in that creek channel or whatnot. You're just able to be so much more efficient. But if you look at where people catch fish, it all boils down to flats. I mean, every time tournaments are won, a lot of times it has to do with something, a ditch that leads into a massive flat or something like that because there's such a big population of fish. And mapping at 100% is what's changed the game for fishing more than anything. I will have said that 100 times over. It's a dead giveaway to where the fish are going to be. You know exactly where they're going to sit. A lot of times now you don't have to look and keep looking. And I guess the live sonar just made it have caught most of that because it's what's allowed you to be more effective.
It's just showed me all the fish that I can't catch. Like,
Right.
you know,
And it shows him all the stumps he could hit.
yeah.
100%. I use it for radar sometimes. I mean, that's the one thing I don't necessarily always. I mean, I'm looking at it, if I'm able to most of the time. It doesn't always mean I'm looking at it necessarily to catch fish, but there's several times I go to lay and I'm like, I use it just to navigate so I don't break my Ultrex in half because I have a bad history with doing things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's not a fish catching box like everybody says it is. But
Nah, you don't turn it on and they jump in the boat.
yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, I pointed out to, man, it seemed like when you were younger, if it wasn't being one at the dam where we live, it was being one flipping. It was
100%.
and I compare it to those guys, those older guys that learned how to flip and were usually winning. They picked up a flip stick after the morning bite and they held it until 3 o'clock. And
Correct.
they believed they would get 3 or 4 bites.
Yep.
It's the same thing. You put that screen down and you look at it until 3 o'clock. And
That's I guess I don't necessarily fall under the category of looking at it till 3 o'clock. I'm not correcting you that there is people that do that. I always try to have I have a philosophy if you can take advantage of the 3 bite windows every day, which means if you can get bit on 3 different rods every day, you'll have a chance at winning. And it's just so difficult to catch more than one great big one in each bite window, especially where we live. So, your first bite window, you may be up shallow. It's just a rarity, especially for myself, to consistently catch, one big one, much less 2 big ones in a morning flurry like that. So I take advantage of each bite window. And my goal every day when I fish is to catch one big one, whatever lake you're on classifies that. Here, a 4-pounder, we'll call it, is to try to catch one 4-pound fish in each one of those windows. And I got to figure out what 3 rods I can get bit on. So, with live scope now, it has taken one of those positions, whether it's the mid-morning lull or it's the late evening when the betas got up. At some point, you have to catch one of those better than average fish doing that. But if you can manage to catch 3 nice ones or 3 big ones with 2 nice ones, you're going to have a chance at winning every time you go.
so change of pace a little bit. I've wondered because I've watched, follow all you guys from around here religiously. Because there's a lot of guys from where we're from that have made it to, one of the 3, major tournament trails, and they're doing it for a living. But what makes, because man, y'all go murder smallmouth. Smallmouth they're just like a spotted bass that I love to buy. Like, man, they're great. Everybody from here kills smallmouth. They all do good up north. What makes Florida so hard for guys from Central Alabama? Because it seems to be the Achilles heel for a lot of people from here.
I'm probably gonna get blasted for this, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. It is the most. So I'm not calling anybody that lives down there that they don't know a lot about fishing. They know a lot about Florida fishing. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to forget everything you know about fishing when you go down there, because if you try to make sense of it to the detail that we do, you will not be successful, because everything you do there is more on a macro level of it than what it is here. So you can get as specific as you want here to the exact cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's places down there that you can find where there is a group of them that live on one cast. But if you're trying to just run around and pattern fish and like get down to like, oh, you can pull over to the bank and catch one because you see the correct contours or you see the right transition on the bank, you're out. You're not going to catch them. You have to just find an area those bass live in, and you have to set the hook as many times in a day as you can. If you set the hook down there all day, you're going to catch them. If you're getting bites, you got a chance at a big one there. That's the way it is. It's so much different, and it's just a super difficult place to fish. Without living there and knowing exactly what's going on. This year, my Okeechobee, first time ever being there, tournament was a lot worse than what it looked like on paper. Or not, it looked worse on paper than what it really was. I mean, I had an okay practice. I thought I had figured out a punching deal. I was getting 20 to 30 bites a day punching. And, I didn't set the hook on a lot of fish in practice, but I set the hook on 2 or 3 that were great big ones, 5 to 8 pounders. And I was like, man, if I can just generate 25 bites, I'm going to catch 1 or 2 of these. Well, day one goes by, I set the hook 50 times, and I catch 1 5.5 pounder and have 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, the next day I catch 30 bass and have 8 pounds. I never got that bite. It's just you literally have to sit there and do it and do it and do it, and eventually you'll get the right bite. And the reason I know that is there was a guy that top 10 fishing the exact same area of the lake doing the exact same thing as me, and I mean it was his time to catch them, but the difference was he got 1 or 2 big bites a day. We actually had communicated with one another, and we were flipping the exact same weight, the exact same bait, and everything. And it was just a big one. He just flipped on top of the big one's head at that time and caught it.
Yeah. That's got to be frustrating though, to know that you wasn't wrong, you just wasn't right.
No, exactly. And I think that this year we've had several situations where we've found ourselves in that where, you just didn't make the right flip at the right time and somebody else did and you were around them. We've had a couple of tournaments that was that way. Okeechobee, Polnick ended up winning off a very unique place, but that's besides itself. That was the needle in a haystack that a couple people found. But if you were just fishing down there and you got around some of them, and some of those, if you were even just in one of the like 10 House Bay, one of the bays on the lake, or you locked out and you were in a zone, not every person in there caught them, but the guys that separated themselves had a 5 to 8 pound bite, or 2 of them, and that's what made up their whole day.
Yeah, man, that's just odd, because I've just noticed that seems to be the only place that guys like you from where we're from don't just go and top 10 because it's it. Like, that seems to be the one place in Florida that y'all don't just go kill them every time.
Yeah, it's every time I've ever caught them in Florida, I've had a place that they are on. I have one place that I live on, and I kind of mix in a bite or 2 throughout the day doing something else just while I'm letting get rest. But when I really catch them down there, I usually catch them most of them off one place. And that's how I get them, man. I mean, that's how most people end up winning events down there.
Yeah.
It's especially rare now for you to win down there, not on a place. It's just very difficult to win just fishing around.
Yeah. Well, if anybody calls me and Stacy and asks, we'll lobby to go back to Texas at the beginning of the year next year again for you. Because that was.
Hey, I always look forward to going to Lake Fork or Toledo or any Texas lake. Those lakes are phenomenal. There's always more than one thing going on. And that's the kind of place I like to be. I like to be somewhere where there's a lot going on. You can kind of get away. You can get, multiple windows to catch fish doing different things. That's the places I want to be. That's what I love to do. And that's how I like to fish. That's what reminds me of home and keeps me going after them.
I heard that.
Well, I got a couple questions. You said one thing, we was talking about flats, and you said one word that caught my ear, and that you said when these fish are migrating. And so they're I guess transitioning is what you were talking about. When you said migrating though, I kind of perked up, but a couple things there. I want to talk about that, but also you talked about, picking up 3 rods, getting 3 big bites in those zones. And what I struggle with the most, I know what I'm going to throw early in the morning when we're fishing shallow. I know what my go-to is that I feel confident I can get bit on.
Right.
And as the day gets up and Kendall's looking at the screen and we're fishing, I know what I need to throw to catch a fish, whether we're fishing structure or we're chasing fish, right? So I know what I'm going to throw. But it's that second zone, that middle zone, I guess the question that eludes me a lot of the times is, are these fish transitioning? If they are, from the early bite, do they move out deeper? About what time do these fish really move in that second zone? And what do you like throwing then? Like, what is your go-to in that second zone when you're just fishing, maybe a tournament or just fishing in general? What do you like to do?
So let me explain. When I said migrate earlier, I'm talking about the process that the fish follows to fulfill its desire in a specific season. I'm not talking about necessarily day to day.
Yeah.
So those fish are progressive. Once the summer, you start getting the cooler nights in September, the shad start moving around. The water's going to turn over. Once it turns over, it's full. The shad are going to move to the creeks. The fish are going to follow. That's more the migration that I'm talking about. Those fish are going to make that movement, but they're not going to. So what's going to happen is, when I say migrate, in September, those fish are going to start in the river on the lakes that we live in. And by the end of the day, you're going to be able to catch them in the back of that creek because they're going to follow it all the way back there. Okay.
Right.
But when it gets to November, they're going to be already there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going to be able to make that transition fully in a day to follow those fish. But whenever I'm fishing an event, I'm fishing for 3 different fish. So that's what a lot of times what I'm doing. The fish that are in the grass are not going to make, it depends on where they're located or whatnot. But the fish that are in the grass, a lot of times they're not the same fish that are swimming around out there in the middle. Well, those fish that are in the middle may not be present to where you are available to them until a certain period in the day. Sometimes it's light dependent, especially in the fall time. It's better usually later in the day versus in the wintertime. They usually tend to be more present in the morning time. Well, the bank fish don't bite in the wintertime until the sun gets up and there's some sunshine to warm the water up. So that flips on like what approach you're going to have in that period, which I've only named 2. So, example, I guess what I would be calling the third rod. I really like the philosophy in the wintertime is, so in the morning I'll normally start scoping those deep fish that are out deep. They're real high in the water column. The bait hasn't really moved up to the top of the water yet from the sunshine, and they're really easy to target. They're not always easy to catch by any means, but they're available. They're not real deep. You can burn up water, troll through it, be in the right places, and have the opportunity to catch a couple of great big ones. Well, the hardest time is, well, you got that 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock period that the sun's out, but it hasn't made a change in the water yet. So the water's still cool. It hasn't, fish can feel 100 of a degree. So that middle period of day, what do you go do? Well, what I always like to go do is I always fish mid-range. So I don't think those fish are keyed in necessarily always on shad, that they're target oriented. A fish that's sitting in the middle of the water column, they usually like to be positioned on something. So I like to go target objects. And, a lot of times I'm throwing a spook. I know that sounds crazy in the wintertime, but I can actually catch some really big ones off of mid-depth stuff, that 3 to 8 foot stuff, just depending on what it is, on a top water or chatterbait, something like that. That's what I'll go spend my time doing. It may be fishing current. So in the morning, it's scope, current, grass. Okay, that's my three way prong approach to how I'm gonna attack the day. Versus in the summertime, it may be I'm gonna go fish shallow in the morning, then I'm gonna target schools, then I'm gonna fish brush. It's more of what I'm approaching. I'm gonna try to get about 3 big fish, one in each period, and sometimes you catch multiple, but it just rarely happens for me. So I try to take advantage of every window I can.
So to hear you, you're fishing shallow grass later in the day or earlier in the day. What's your optimal time to fish?
It varies though. That's the whole thing. Like early spring, late winter, I'm doing it late in the day a lot of times. Those fish don't position themselves till later in the day. Those fish are sitting in front of the grass. They're not necessarily accessible. They're not on high percentage places. I'm all about being efficient. So I want to be able to run as many places as I can, as quick as I can. I'm not going to beg a fish to bite. I'm going to look for one that's wanting to bite. And I'm going to run high percentage places as quick as I can. So points, isolated patches of grass, etc. And that will be later in the day. But once you get to where that water temperature is above 65 degrees, the sun doesn't seem to have an effect. It seems to transition to where overcast days are better than sunny days. Those fish don't need that warmth. That's like their optimal temperature that they're active. So they're already present. So when it does that, I'm going to start in the morning time because they're already there. They're not going to be in front of the grass. They're not moving throughout the day. Sure, there's some fish that are going to stagger throughout the day, but there will be a big population that's present in the morning time for you to be called.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So transition a little bit from fishing tactics. Me and Stacy were talking earlier today. Talk about Mountain Dew outdoor gear. What exactly is that? Because I see it everywhere. It's on your boat. They're one of your big sponsors. But what exactly is the Mountain Dew outdoor?
So Mountain Dew outdoor gear is just for people that absolutely love Mountain Dew. It gives the people that that purchase lots of Mountain Dew the opportunity to redeem points to earn several different items. The more you buy, the more you could win. I mean, there was boats and there was ATVs and UTVs and all kinds of stuff that was given away. But the items wasn't even that. There was tons of outdoor apparel you could have got, game cameras. There was so many items that they were just trying to give. Oh, never mind. James got him one. It wasn't a big one though.
Oh,
But anyway,
that's about on, that's on par for James. You know,
but
you
so
tell
that
James
gives
I'll let
people
him
the
know in the group
opportunity
message
that
later. Tell him in the group message I'll
it
be
just
sure to
gives
have him
people the
later.
it gives people the opportunity to that support the brand to have an opportunity and let Mountain Dew support them back in a way. So, obviously it becomes competitive. People want to earn stuff. A lot of it's tricked out. It's people. There's some serious Mountain Dew fans. I am one myself. I mean, there's nothing better to drink in my opinion. But it gives you the opportunity to just achieve something, and they support you back. And most of everything that you earn is outdoor equipment.
I got you. Okay, I just
Just
wasn't sure.
talking about that makes me thirsty, and I want
Yeah,
Mountain
now I
Dew
want
now.
Mountain Dew. Yeah, so that's a good move on their part. They'll sell some Mountain Dew that way. No, I was just curious because I saw we were talking
Right.
about it, and Stacy's like, "What is it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. All I know is it's always on his boat and on his
Yeah.
jersey. I don't really know." So.
Yeah, and when you watch you guys on TV and stuff,
Right.
I kind of wonder what exactly that is and the affiliation between all of it. So no, that's good. That's good. I still am scratching my head though over one question that I don't think you fully answered, and I kind of want to know the answer. So do you find like this time of year, we're right now, just say we're in June, right? Uh Throughout one day of fishing.
Yep.
And we're just going to talk about the South. And then I want to ask you another question about the trail you're on right now, the Bassmasters. Okay. Like around our lakes now, and this time of year, do these fish move depths during the day? Like you alluded to like how you'll start out deep.
Yes, 100%.
So like at night, there's a lot of night tournaments that happen around our area now. And it seems like those guys know how to catch them. Like it's just fat bags coming in, and you're like, how in the world? Because I don't fish night tournaments that much. Kendall has tried to get me to go, but I have to have a thermocell fully charged to do that. But nonetheless, you just see
Right.
bigger bags, and you always wonder how in the world they catch them. But you go fish a day tournament right after you see what won on that late last night, and you go fish a day tournament, and it's totally opposite. Like the it's just half the weight of what it took that night. So my question, and what a lot of people I think that I've talked to would like to know,
I think
are these fish moving throughout the entire day?
yes and no. So let me explain one of this. I think the fish you catch at night are different fish than you catch in the day, a vast majority of them. I don't think that they're fish that feed it during the day. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. Yes, they're the same species, et cetera, whatever. But the places that you can catch fish at night are not the same places you catch in the day. That's not always the case in most scenarios, but I'm more or less talking about largemouth. Uh, those fish do move at night. There's a lot of fish that get more accessible during the nighttime. The fish, a lot of times, will position themselves in a place that they don't have to move. They fish do not migrate at night. They're making that transition in the evening. So a lot of fish do go up shallow. That's why there's always a morning bite and a evening bite.
Yeah.
Especially in the wintertime. You're getting fish that are left over from the nighttime, and you're getting fish that are transitioning into the nighttime. You can go troll around on live scope all you want to at night, and you're not going to see them. During the daytime, there's plenty of bass to be seen. The reason is those fish do not move at night. They're getting stationary. So you're catching fish that are transitioning into places or moving to certain places in the night. Sure, they swim around some at night, but they're going to be somewhere in a very small area, and it's going to be very minimal movement.
Do they tend
So I think
at night? Do they tend to find like certain weed beds or structure? Do you find that
yeah,
they're hanging around?
I think they like hard objects. I think they like something that they can put themselves against, because I feel like they feel susceptible at night. It's just that they want to be against a hard object. I mean, that's a lot of times how we catch them at night, is on a specific object that's hard. They want something that they can put their body against or be right against and feel comfortable. And yes, the grass still, there is specific places at night and so specific grass beds that they do get around. But I'm not going to go too much in detail on that because I do fish at night. I don't want to give it dead away. There's not enough of it to just give it all away.
He said pass.
Yeah, he said pass. That's where I stopped.
No, that's good information. I mean, because you talk to guys and guys that don't fish at night, they always find themselves asking that same question. They ask me, I'm like, look, man, I don't fish at night. And I said, but I just don't fish enough at night.
If you want to know what's biting at night, go to Bozo's on Friday night. You'll find out just how big they are.
Those guys right there, I won one of those last year. It's the first one I ever won, and I felt like I won the classic.
How much did you have?
23 pounds, and Tommy Headley still almost beat me. He had like 22 and a quarter. I was like, dude, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. Mitchell the other night, like, I missed some pretty good ones. I was like, man, it's not bad. And then Tommy comes in almost 13 pounds with 3. And I'm like, how does this happen? Like, he's like,
man, he's just on a different level when it comes to catching those largemouth. I just don't ask no questions. I just shake his hand and go on about my day whenever he catches them.
Well, I have another question. This might be a dumb question, Wesley, but the tactics that we just talked about, well, these fish staging and transitioning, are you able, for the most part, no matter what lake that's on the series, take the things that you learn off the Coos River up to these lakes and find yourself, using those same tactics? Or is it something you just had to just totally retrain yourself? I know we talked about the maps and things like that, and you're utilizing the maps, but I'm talking about the fish that are they staging in these other lakes, these northern lakes? Are they doing
up north? The only exceptions I would be is like the Great Lakes, the river up there, and Florida to some extent is a little different, but majority of the places are not on the coast or way far up north. You can do the exact things that I'm talking about and target bass and catch them. Fish move for a reason. They don't have the ability to reason actually, but the reason they move is purposeful. They're trying to survive. And sorry about that. Y'all saw me jerk. He just lost a crappie that was as long as my leg, and that bait would come flying back at my head. But everything that a fish does is so that they can, prepare for the next thing that they're going to do in their life, whether it's to spawn or to eat something or whatnot. So they are susceptible. It's just understanding how they move and whatnot. Up there, like I said, Florida's slightly different, and up north is, but everything that I talked about with the flats and how to target fish or places to look for, what to look for, about anywhere you can go in the country, you can do those exact same things and be successful at catching fish.
But up north, I know Stacy's never been. I got to go last year with Zach and, went up to St. Clair.
Don't. Yeah, that's good.
I can't say it. Yeah, I forgot y'all are going. Never mind. But anyway, fish up north, they're just fun. Like, they actually bite. That's what was cool to me.
Oh, yeah.
Smallmouth just bite.
At most places we go in the country, it's easier to catch a bass than what it is than where we live.
That's
amazing. I feel like I have to pull out the textbook here to figure out how to catch one sometimes. I guess it's just so much pressure and so many people fishing, which I'm glad people fish and stuff. But, a lot of times you can go somewhere else in the country, you see one or on the screen, or hell, there's many a times that I'll get to a lake and I just like pull over to the first patch of grass that I see and I throw my bait over there and I catch one. You can't do that here. I'm just going to tell you that. You ain't going to do that here.
Yeah. Do you think pressure plays a big part in the Coosa River where we're fishing?
Oh yeah, 100%. Those fish, obviously.
Is it just the amount of boats, or is it actually people fishing and just hitting these fish on the head and they just don't want to bite? They just see lures all the time, or is it just the boat traffic? What do you think it is?
I think that the fish definitely are getting more educated, and it has a lot to do with them constantly seeing baits and not ever getting a break. They're definitely making the fish smarter, but I mean, the thing is, there's still fish in these rivers that have never been caught. I'm going to tell you that. If you think every one of them's been caught, you're crazy. There's fish there's so many bass that live here that it's unbelievable. It truly is. I mean, it just blows my mind how many fish actually live in the rivers, or the river around here on each one of the lakes. It's unbelievable. But they do get educated. They are getting smarter. I mean, it's just the lake's clearing up. The lake doesn't get as dirty as it used to. I mean, it gets dirty from, big rains and whatnot, but it cleans so quickly. that the fish got better visibility than they ever have to, see your bait. So it's getting more difficult to catch them. And you just got to keep adapting and getting better and better.
Yeah. So different question. How long did it take you the other week before you realized your rod was in the lake? Because I watched you go back and catch it. So and get it the next day. Like, when did you realize, like, hey, I'm missing?
I did not realize my rod had been overboard until I got to the next fish I had marked, and I went to pick it up because my first cast was on all these fish were with a drop shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at my camera guy and I said, my drop shot rod's are going. He said, really? And then somebody mic'd in from the studio and said he kicked it overboard. But fortunately, I made the next day and was able to retrieve the rod. But I had some pretty funny stuff set up that if I wasn't able to go back and get it, I was going to post the coordinates to it online, and I was going to, I guess, contact the homeowner and wish him good luck because he was about to have a party in front of his dock.
I mean, I feel like Kyle would have got naked and went and swim for it if he would have had to. Just TikTok, That
guy's a nutcase.
Speaking of, who are you rooming with this year? Because I always enjoy hearing you guys talk about who y'all room with and hang out with. For us that don't get to see it, it's neat to the inside story kind of deal.
We have a very mixed very mixed regional group. We got Alex Redwine, he's from Ohio. And then you got Jason Kurt from Wisconsin, Kyle Patrick from New York, and me from Alabama. So we got it all covered. So it's a good mix. We keep it interesting, totally different personalities, but I think that makes it a little better. We cut up with each other, have fun, and keep the moods light. So it's been a good thing. I roomed with Kyle last year. I love him to death, but he's an absolute nutcase. But we work well together. We, from the first tournament of the year to the sixth tournament, which we're going into the seventh, we've definitely learned a lot about each other, and we've learned how to function and what each other's strong suit is, and we try to break down lakes together because it's actually difficult to go out there and compete with 3 days of practice against these guys, especially we're as clean cut and straight as you can be. We don't bend any corners or nothing like that. There's no information besides prior knowledge from what's available online and what we know from being there in the past. So we actually go to these lakes, break them down, and we've actually made it to where we can break them down pretty quick. In the first day of practice, we got an idea. By the middle of the second day, we pretty much know. We either know that we're about to catch them or we're going, oh crap, we're all going to be screwed.
So how tough is it to take what you're seeing versus what, let's say, Jay, who's, he's fishing stuff, grew up fishing completely different than we did. Like, what he sees and what you see probably doesn't compute the same. That's got to be tough to take what you're hearing and use it, but then not let it get to you at the same time.
Right. Absolutely. I guess James ain't a good example of that. I think I done got James motorized to think about like I do. So we see things about the same. We've been in the boat enough, but there's things that when you get to these places, that different people do different things. Like for Kyle doesn't have access to do the things that that I'm able to do, and none of them do. Redwine's probably at the biggest disadvantage because he lives on the Ohio River. That is a horrible place to fish in the first place, and there's just not many ways to approach those fish. I guess the good thing about it is he's close to Lake Erie, so he understands how to catch the smallmouth that are nomadic or moving around in the Great Lakes. Then you got Jay. He's kind of not in the same boat as them, but he's got the access to the Mississippi River, so he understands current fishing, fishing shallow. And then he's also got some of those big reservoirs that he can target the smallmouth as well.
Yeah, I got you. So
they kind of all look at me when it comes to the shallow places, and they're like, well, what are we doing? And I'm like, man, it depends on what it is. You take me to a tidal place like the Sabine, I'm just like, we better figure out how to catch 5 keepers.
So that was interesting. I wish I would have went to the Sabine first, then to Fort. It would have looked a lot better than Fort than the Sabine because you go.
Man, I was actually happy not to fish the third day. So I don't ever say that. I always want to fish for as long as I possibly can. I was not upset about it. My goal was to finish 51st, and I think I finished 60th. So missed it by a few marks, but it's good to get out of there with some points. That place was just very challenging. It would have not been nearly as bad if we wouldn't have had the excessive tide that we had. It was a super high tide. The fish were spread out, and the water was extremely dirty. So the absolute worst conditions you could have for that place, on top of it being a difficult fishery.
Yeah. Where you do you look at points? I'll ask that before I ask.
I'm in 42nd.
Okay. Well, I know some guys don't look at it, so I didn't.
No, I looked at the other day. I started the year as low as you could get. Coming from last year where I stayed in the top 10 the entire year, ended up finishing in the top 10. This year we had a couple challenging tournaments where we had a slow start. I was in the 80s after 3 tournaments, but 2 top 10s make a big difference. We climbed back up and we're in the 40s. And we're right there on that classic cut. And the next 3 should be in the wheelhouse. So hopefully we can top 50 those, hopefully better than that. And we can make that classic because that's the goal to be at every year.
Absolutely.
Well, like I said, I know it's only really one, Northern Lake this year, but I always look forward to y'all guys going up there because y'all always catch them. Like somebody's from Alabama, I'm like, or the Coosa where they fish for spots and all, they're going to catch them.
Right.
They're going to catch them there. So, but it's going to be interesting though. I haven't seen y'all go, to the Mississippi River in a while as far as y'all. So that'll be fun to watch from our perspective.
The next 3 will be fun. I think 10 Killer will be a little bit grimy, but it'll be a great tournament to watch. St. Clair will not be grimy. There'll be a lot of bass caught, some big ones caught, and the Mississippi River will probably be the most fun tournament to keep up with all year. There'll be some nice fish caught. They'll be caught doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting up there and getting those 3 started. They're a little more spaced out. I'm glad to be able to spend some time at home because, like I said, I love nowhere else more than where I lived and love to fish here more than anything.
Cool. Well, man, do you have anything?
No, don't. Wesley, just want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate you doing that, and we have enjoyed watching you fish these last couple of years for sure. And just knowing you, fishing against you, with you, seeing you come up. We have so many great fishermen in our area that everybody tries to keep up with them. And sometimes that's hard to do with life. But you're definitely one that we keep up with. We're rooting for you. Keep your head down. Run behind them shoulders, man. You're doing a great job. And just appreciate you taking the time from fishing to talk with us.
It's all good. Thank y'all for having me. And sorry about the connections issue, but we're about to go try to get rid of our one little one we got.
Hey, well, what I think from what I learned from this podcast is that they should be staging up so for that evening bite. So
hey, we're about to go bust a frog out on them and get us one. So thank y'all guys, and I will talk to y'all soon.
Thank you, man. Thanks, Wesley.
No problem. We'll see y'all.
See ya.